He overdosed. We both had the same bed because we only had one room. I woke up. I remember this was like a few days after Christmas. I remember I got some Halo Mega Blocks. I was excited for that. I wake up. I'm like, all right, come on, wake up. And he wouldn't wake up. And then my grandfather got in. He was like, you gotta wake him up. This sounds funny, and it is. The big brain I did, I went outside. This is the winter time. I got some snow. I put snow down his pants to try to wake him up. And he wouldn't wake up. I called the ambulance. 10-year-old me calling the ambulance. Then I remember like all my family members in a room keeping like everybody away so the ambulance could do their thing. Me and my grandfather drove to my cousin's house because we didn't want to be in the area of that place. And I remember my cousin saying like, oh, it's gonna be fine, he's fine, nothing's wrong. And then all of a sudden everybody walks in the room all sad and crying. And that's sort of when I knew that he was gone. I was sort of bawling up a storm. I wouldn't say he's a good guy, but I also wouldn't say he's like a bad guy. He's an interesting fella. Well, was an interesting fella. I knew he hung around the wrong crowd. To be completely honest, if I was still living with him, I would be a completely different person, getting into trouble. He would get into trouble a lot. He went to jail a few times. He robbed a few places, and he like stole a lot of stuff. That's kind of all I remember. There's like this story, I don't know if it's true or not. We stole from these people that had a lot of guns, and rumor has it, it's still buried in my grandfather's backyard. The only person that knew where it was my mom, and she's gone, so I don't think those guns are ever gonna be found. My mom died when I was 5. She died in a car crash, DUI type thing. I don't know how to say it, driving under the influence. I'm trying to talk all smart here, but she was the passenger, and he sort of hit a tree. And that sort of happened. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I have a brother. He has a mom. They used to be married and then they divorced, and then my mom came along. It's a very confusing story. Like the only time I was ever with him was when my dad was involved. We would rarely get along. We used to play Xbox a little bit. We'd always get into arguments, then stop for like 2 months, start back up. As of like right now, I haven't talked with him in like 3 years now. Then, to top it all off, I got appendicitis. That was fun. I was in the hospital. They said that apparently my appendix was the size of a softball. They're supposed to be the size of your thumb. In school, I got these cards saying like, I'm sorry that your like dad died. But the funny part is half of them were Minecraft related. So like looking back at them now, it's the funniest things I've ever seen. I remember my buddy, he wrote, sorry you lost your appendix, and then it was a picture of a Minecraft Steve like mining something. I used to live with my mom's mom. Now I live with my mom's dad. They divorced. I feel like my grandparents kind of were my parents, but the way I feel like it's going to affect me in the future, they're getting old. They won't be around for like a long time. Say you have your parents, they're going to be around until you're like in your maybe like 40s, 50s. With me, yeah, I've probably got till I'm 30, and then I won't have like the parental figure. Like that's what I always think about a lot, because they always say we're not going to be here forever. That's when you think, damn, they're right. It's going to be weird without them, because they are my parents. The way they have like empathy with you, the way they're always like loving and caring with you. I think that's the best way I could kind of describe it.
If you could tell everybody in the world one thing, what would it be?
Oh my god, I've been waiting for this. All right, the one thing I could say is, ladies, I'm single. Never been to a Waffle House. I know there's a lot of fights there. I actually just got this job like 2 months ago. I was supposed to get it a lot sooner, but a Jeep and a deer did not mix, so I had to wait a little bit to get my vehicle back. It's an interesting job working at Walmart overnights. I was stocking sporting goods. This guy, a customer, yeah, just a random customer. He told me the cure for cancer. Just out of the blue, he said, yeah, you use Fiji water and baking soda, and that is the cure for cancer. He was an interesting fella. Like, we talked for like a half hour. He was talking about how he used to be a doctor, and then he got fired because allegedly the hospital he like worked at, he was supposed to kill 3 patients a month. We didn't really believe that, but he only did like 1 a month. Yeah, they wouldn't even have to be sick. If they were just dead, you get paid for it. I'm like, that don't sound right. Like, just sort of like agreeing with him and whatever, because I don't really know how to start a conversation about that. It's mostly an event every day. This guy walked up to me and goes, "We need to be friends on Facebook. We both like NASCAR." And I'm like, "I don't have Facebook." He's like, "Okay, add me on Snapchat." So I added him on Snapchat. This was like 3 days ago. Ever since, I have not stopped getting text from him to this very second. Just saying like stuff about Machine Gun Kelly being like the best artist. I'm like, "Man, I wouldn't know. I only listen to Juice World." He's like, "Oh, you're one of those types." I'm like, "Yep, that's me." There's 2 people absolutely obsessed with Machine Gun Kelly, and both of those people are the weirdest people I've ever met in my life. They also like have a shrine for Walmart. Like they live and breathe Walmart. Like, I was talking to one guy, he has a picture on his wall of Sam Walton, which was like the creator of Walmart. He's like, anybody that isn't working at Walmart is not better than us, because we work at Walmart and they don't. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, places that are paying like 20 to 25 an hour are pretty good. They both say like, "Congratulations on making it to your second break. Sam Walton would be like proud of you." Just talk about how good of Sam Walton is and how good Walmart is. They'd be like, "All right, guys, and remember, Walmart loves you." And then they do like this goofy laugh. We went on a walk like in our backyard. In our backyard, because we used to own cows, we would have to walk through the cow pen. One cow absolutely despised my dad. 3 of them were on the other side of the pen, and then there was just that one sitting there waiting for when we had to come back through the pen. It knew exactly where we had to go through, and it just sat there and waited. And there was also another story about that same cow getting out of the pen, and there were like 4 people around it trying to get it back in. And then my dad walks out of the house, and they locked eyes. And that thing goes running, running towards him. Him and that cow did not meet eye to eye. They weren't too fond of each other. Just didn't like him. And it had the perfect name. Its name was Bully. It was a perfect name.